All right, everybody, let's get our heads right on a Victory Thursday. Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with all of you. Been a long morning, certainly. Bit of a nail-biter as well. But, hey, listen, it's Thursday. We got a dub, and we're 500. And that's all that matters this morning. I am in such a good mood today. Much better than yesterday. I'm not fussy at all. I was very fussy yesterday. Feel great. Woke up in my own bed. You know, had some coffee, watched the game. You're listening to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. Benjamin, good morning. How are you feeling?
I'm good. There was a time in my life that baseball season was not like riding a roller coaster, and you didn't get so emotionally invested in every single game, but that's out the window now. It almost felt like a playoff game today. The way every inning seemed like, the triumph of, and the agony is just all the way through this game.
I think it's because we're getting older. You're supposed to be calmer when you get older, but then the older you get, you're like, I'm running out of time here. I need to see something great. I want to see something great. I need to be sucking down Coors Lights in a victory parade, and maybe that's it. But, man, it's just it's so exciting. So exciting that baseball is back. Super excited about the victory today. Well, you just heard Sammy. We were just talking about this out in the lobby. We all been here since what time did we get here? I got here about 5:30.
You guys got here early.
I got here about 5.
Yeah, Ben got here about 5. I was watching it at home, but then my house started to hustle and bustle. Bo woke up, Hannah was up, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go to the office. I'll hang out with Sammy and Italian Paul, and then Ben said he was coming in, and so stopped and got some Starbucks and came in and watched the game with the boys. That was nice. It was nice to watch the game with the fellas in here this morning. But I don't know, man. It was an awesome win. But we were just talking about it. Sammy and Italian Paul just did the whole X's and O's of the game. It's weird following the post-game show, is it not?
We're supposed to have new original takes on that win.
Hey, I know you guys
haven't heard yet.
I know you just heard Mike Schilt. Here's him on last night's victory. Sammy's I just played this 10 minutes ago. So this is a little bit odd for us, obviously, and we have a short show today. We do have a lot to talk about. Certainly, yesterday was a huge, huge day in baseball news, and interested in talking to you guys about the Shohei Ohtani interpreter situation. More details have been coming out. It's certainly an interesting one, to be sure, but I think it's probably behooves us to start with our beloved San Diego Padres, putting up a massive amount of runs today, giving up a massive amount of runs, and all that entails.
I will say it right off the bat. That was a successful trip to South Korea for the San Diego Padres. I get that they're 1-1, just like the Dodgers are 1-1. It's almost like nothing happened, but you spend a week there. You don't want to go 0-2. You get the last win. You got a good feeling coming home for Fan Fest this weekend. You don't have to sit on 2 losses the whole way. Got some offense. Maybe you rattled their $325 million signing from the offseason in Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He'll probably be fine, but going to be in the back of his head wondering for now, I don't know, at least a week and a half until he starts again. Am I going to be able to get major league hitters out? Am I going to be able to make it to the second inning at some point? Of course he will, but I wouldn't want to be the guy who's sitting there having to think about that for the next week. And for the Padres, they aren't that team right now. They're the team that scored 15 runs, and while it was dicey and nerve-wracking at times, they never gave up the lead. It was tense, but they kept it all the way through and closed out the win.
Midday host Craig Elston just tweeted, "We lose that game last year." I couldn't agree more. I kept waiting for it. If I'm being completely honest with you, Ben, I kept waiting for the game-tying 3-run homer. I mean, my God, did they try to give it away. The difference is they answered back, and they didn't stop. They did not do
Good point.
what they did last year, which was
They would have scored 5 in the first and then nothing the rest of the game.
Just nothing. And the Dodgers just would have chipped away. Next thing you know, Padres lose 13-5 that game last season. And, Xander said it last year. We get down a run and we panic. There was no panic. I mean, the fans, we panicked like crazy. I was losing my mind. And I was ready to revamp the entire bullpen after, no one could get any outs. But Craig is very right about that point. I don't think we win that game last year. And it's, hey, man, like you said, it's 1 of 162. They're now 1-1. They're going to get on a long-ass flight home. They're going to come home. We got Fan Fest. We have the Peter Seidler Memorial, then Fan Fest. And then they got a week until they have to play. Yeah, until they have to play meaningful baseball again. A week from today will be opening day against Bob Melvin and Blake Snell and the San Francisco Giants. So really nice to get out of there with a split today.
So maybe just there is weather in the forecast for the next few days here. So if you have tickets, if you're planning on going to Fan Fest, we're planning to be there, but it's very much up in the air.
And it's not a rain or shine event, is what I understand. Is that correct?
I believe FanFest goes on even if it's wet.
Are you sure?
I don't know that our broadcast goes on. If it's pouring, we've got electronic equipment, and it's going to be tough to do a live show if it's really coming down hard.
I thought it was kind of like an all or nothing thing. It's either going.
Oh, they might cancel
not.
all of FanFest if it's
know.
raining? I mean, they can't do some of the workouts like the softball game on the field and stuff. I'm sure it would have to be modified. But you can still have the players in the concourses signing autographs and stuff. I don't know. Well, I guess the Padres will make an announcement.
If it's pouring rain, they're not going to have like people walking around on the warning tracks.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to change things. You'd move some of it kind of underneath. They have some space at Petco Park for, I don't know. I'm not going to speak
I think
to
we
something
are all,
that I don't
literally
know.
all three of us
We're
are speculating on what's
on
going to happen.
FanFest if it does or doesn't rain. But anyway,
it's more just a PSA to watch the weather and look for the updates.
Yeah, a few congratulations need to go out for that win as well. Jackson Merrill, big time first hit of his major league career, first extra base hit. It was nearly his first home run, right at the top of the wall. But congratulations to Jackson Merrill. He also had. I mean, so many guys.
This is Jackson Merrill.
So many guys who contributed multi-hit games, not only for Merrill, but Bogarts, Tatis, Campusano, Wade, and how about Jake Cronenworth? 4
Unreal.
for 4.
What a day.
4 runs batted in that game after an 0 for 4 in the first game. He just quickly ups his average to 500. That's how you don't make it a problem early in the season. Put a couple of games like that together, and the numbers look a lot different than they did the year before.
Well, and getting those first 2 runs was just massive off of Yamamoto. And just sets the tone. Padres end up scoring 5 in the first. Give one back the next inning. Throw up 4, Dodgers get 4, and you're just like, come on, dude, don't do this to me today. The first like 2 innings was about 45 minutes long. Like, it was dragging. Sitting at home, drinking my coffee, like, this is unbelievable. But yeah, man, if you're so. Are you panicked a little bit if you're the LA Dodgers? I mean, obviously with everything that's going on right now, again, we'll get into the Ohtani stuff, but like you just spent $325 for Yamamoto and he throws 1 inning and gives up 5 runs and really didn't look all that unhittable at all.
Honestly, no. If I'm the Dodgers, I'm going to look at that game and I'm going to go, of course, probably nervous, too much adrenaline, not going to be in the best place that he's been making his major league debut. I'm going to just flush that and go, hey, we got a week. Everything's going to be different when we get back to Los Angeles. I'm not panicking. I'm not that worried if I'm the Los Angeles Dodgers about that game.
You're certainly not worried if you're the Dodgers about Mookie Betts and the performance that he turned in today. 4 for 5 with 6 RBI. Nice little day for him.
But he's a really good player, but it seems like he really shows out against the Padres.
He goes full Spinal Tap. I mean, it's like, I'm going to go to 11. It's nuts. I mean, he's unbelievable. But the top of our order was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Bogarts again. Couple of hits, Tatis a couple of hits, Cronenworth with 4 hits, Manny with a huge game-icing home run in the top of the ninth. It was awesome. It's all kind of jumbled for me. I watched the entire game. I watched every pitch, but I'm sitting here trying to remember everything that went down. I'm just so fired up this morning after that win. It was a great one.
Ironically, the only guy who didn't get a hit in the series was the guy who had such the great spring, had 2 home runs in the game in Korea earlier this week, returning to his home country. Ha-Sung Kim took the offer. He did walk. He got an RBI today, but he did not get a hit in the 2 games in Korea. So His probably lifetime average, Major League Baseball in Korea, will stay at 0 unless they do this again sometime in the future.
Love the runners in scoring position numbers, 10 for 24. I love that. I mean, that's something that we desperately needed last season, and it seemed like they never really delivered until it was too late. But yeah, man, everybody was coming through in their own ways. Everybody did something to help them win that ball game today. And that's really, really important. Now, the pitching, obviously, what do they always say? This should be spring training for all these arms, all of them. Like, they should still be grinding through it. And they knew that these games were coming, and it was on them to be prepared. Joe Musgrove did not look particularly sharp at all. Neither did Yamamoto. Glasnow looked pretty good yesterday. And Darvish pitched okay, 3 walks, a little bit uncharacteristic, but these guys are trying to fine-tune some stuff right now. Today was a war of attrition, a total war of attrition. Who can get outs, who can't? And, there's a couple things if we want to, probably take a turn to negative town later that we can look at and say, all right, man, we got to clean, again, some of this stuff up. Profar booting that ball in left field, those are plays that have to be made. But if you're the Dodgers, you're going, Max Muncy is literally the worst third baseman I've ever seen. Three errors?
Yeah, I'm more worried
2?
about my infield defense if I'm the Dodgers than I am about Yamamoto or the pitching staff.
100%.
Because that is a problem, one you could probably have anticipated and foreseen, and you're hoping that the offense overcomes the defensive insufficiencies that you've got if you're the Dodgers. I think for the Padres pitching, again, you never want to give up 11 runs.
No.
But, as you said, it's March. It's also the Dodgers. That's a heck of a lineup,
it is.
top to bottom. They got guys who can hurt you 1-9. And they're going to have their games when they score a bunch of runs and get a bunch of hits. The fact that the Padres won this one, I think that's nothing but a good thing. Padres pitching staff is not going to give up that kind of offense to everyone they're facing, but the Dodgers are going to do it to just about every team. There's no team in baseball that's going to be able to hold that lineup with 3 MVPs at the top of the order and 6 more dangerous batters behind them in check for a whole series. They're going to get theirs almost every series this year.
Maggie says they shouldn't have given Mookie anything to hit. And listen, you have to. I mean, you have to pick. When you look at that lineup, you go, all right, like I'm not letting Will Smith, like I'm not letting Freeman, Ohtani, and Betts beat me. Well, then you're screwed. Bases loaded for Will Smith, who had 4 hits today.
They held Ohtani to 1 for 5, but he smoked the ball like two warning track deep flies.
He almost killed me today. I mean, he almost killed me.
He hit the ball very hard. I mean, Freddie Freeman didn't have the best series. He only had the 1 hit in the 2 games. He probably regretting his performance a little bit, but yeah, there's so many poisons. You can't just pitch around all the Dodgers.
You can't. You'll be walking in runs every inning. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to go into the zone and really just hope that they don't kill you. I mean, that's really it. If you can keep them in the yard, try to hold them to singles. I mean, that's really your best plan of attack. This is one of the best lineups that's ever been constructed in baseball. Like, as much as it pains me to say it, it's absolutely true. And it's relentless. It is a relentless lineup, and they can beat you in a bunch of different ways. So credit to the guys for finding a way to score more runs than them today because, frankly, that may be the only recipe in beating the Dodgers is to outslug them. And that's going to be hard to do.
All right, we're going to take our first time out here.
I felt like John Smoltz there for a minute.
It's
the way our roster was constructed, we'd need to score more runs to win.
Outslug your opponent to win.
That's right.
We got a short show now, of course, going until 10 o'clock. Got a guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. Our good friend Major Garrett's going to check in as he does pretty much every year in the beginning of the season for some start-of-the-year thoughts on the San Diego Padres. So we'll catch up with the chief Washington correspondent for CBS News and our chief Padres fan on the East Coast, Major Garrett, going to be with us at 8:35. More thoughts on the ball game, though, coming up next with Ben Woods after a check of traffic with Kelly. And I hear there's some bad traffic right now on 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Ashley Furniture. Celebrate and save at Ashley's anniversary sale with Hot Buys, your choice of color, starting at just $399. Ashley sleep mattresses starting at $250, plus receive a free adjustable base with select mattress purchases only at Ashley. I think there was one very unsung star for the Padres, and the numbers will not reflect it, Woods. When you look in the Padres bullpen and you see Michael King with an 8.1 ERA after the first game, you go, what a disastrous first appearance for Michael King. And it was not. Michael King actually impressed me quite a bit. Came in after Joe Musgrove and Tom Cosgrove in the fourth inning. Got in a little trouble in his first inning, but got out of it. Then gave up the 2-run home run to Mookie Betts on a pitch that was off the plate inside.
Yep.
Mookie's a great hitter.
Great hitter.
Came back, though, got stronger as he went on. You saw that strikeout stuff, ended up with 5 strikeouts. And what really impressed me is even though this was his first appearance of the year, it was coming out of the bullpen, even though he had started throughout all of spring training. When they needed him to start the 7th inning and, try to get a couple of big outs, he got out there, got an out, did walk Mookie, and then they went to the bullpen again for Yuki Matsui. Matsui let Mookie come around to score, so that run was also charged to Michael King, hence the 8.1 ERA. But ultimately, I thought it was a really solid debut and a very promising first appearance for Michael King, who I think is going to be a really nice addition to the starting rotation.
His changeup is absolutely filthy and devastating and spotted up, when he needed to. The most impressive stat for me is not the 5 strikeouts. It's the 3 1/3 innings eaten. Because look who we had to go to. Number one, we had to go to Robert Suarez for a 4-out save, which is something I didn't know existed. I didn't know that was possible. I've been told that you don't get paid for saves, so I'm not going to do the 4-out save bid. I've heard that from our closers here, closer in the past. You had a Rule 5 guy making his major league debut.
Stephen Kolek. Yeah. And by the way, after a little wildness to start, he came back and got the next 2 guys, handed it over to Suarez, who allowed the inherited runs to score. So, Kolek actually settled in okay, and, he may be getting a good chance for the Padres as well this season.
You had Yuki Matsui, who threw yesterday, come in for 2/3 of an inning. So King coming in and eating those innings, which, by the way, was the plan. Like we knew in our dream scenario yesterday, it was Joe for 4, and it was King for 3, and then it was Suarez and whoever else you need.
Kolek and Suarez. And Cosgrove pitched that 1/3 of an inning.
But again, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Mike Schilt and the Padres got punched in the mouth a little bit with Joe Musgrove only being able to go 2 2/3. And, I think there's some level of concern I have, but, I don't know. I mean, he didn't look as bad. He didn't look as bad as Yamamoto.
Yeah, you had Randy Vasquez there, but you had to hold someone for extra innings. You could have brought maybe Enyel De Los Santos back. I think he only threw about 9 pitches yesterday, like you brought Matsui back. But you have to be careful. I mean, with all the runs that were scored, who knows? Dodgers come back, tie that one, and you're out of pitches. Suarez is not going to go into a 3rd inning at that point. So you would have been up against it, especially if not for the 3 1/3 innings that Michael King gave you out of the bullpen.
Very impressive.
Quietly in the middle, stabilizing the game. Wasn't perfect, obviously, but I thought it was a very solid debut.
Yeah. He, somebody just said in the chat, Kolek recovered pretty well. He did. And King, the bend but don't break. Bending is fine. Breaking is not. This team notoriously broke every time they got bent last year, and it was nice to see them fight through it. Nice to see them add on. Nice to see a clutch home run from our captain, Manny Machado. You couldn't hit it any better. You just couldn't hit it any better than that. Just once, I want to know what that feels like to hit a ball that far. If those beams weren't there, that ball's going 500 feet. The ball was murdered. And loved every second of that. Love seeing a 116-mile-an-hour screamer off the bat of Fernando Tatis Jr. off
I heard
Michael
that's
Grove.
the hardest ball he's ever hit.
I mean, loved Xander getting those knocks. I loved Crony getting those knocks. After one game, we thought, hey, man, if he continues to take offers in the 3-hole, it's a really important spot. And he delivered today. And a lot of credit to those guys for outslugging a really good slugging team.
One day after committing 4 pitch clock violations, the Padres pitching staff reduced that to 0.
Correct.
However, we did have one batter who committed a violation. Xander Bogaerts was called out.
Did he?
on a very strange call by the home plate umpire in his, I think it was his fourth at-bat, where he was up with 2 strikes, looked like he was locked in, and all of a sudden the umpire jumps out and calls him out on either an attention violation, or there was some speculation that Xander tried to call timeout for a second time. You're only allowed 1 timeout, and because he asked for a second one, that was a violation. I didn't see Xander say anything. He didn't put his hand up like time. He looked like he was just locked in, ready to take the pitch, but the umpire was very adamant that Xander was out. Mike Schilt came out and got to argue a little bit, make an appearance as the Padres manager out on the field. Dave Roberts also came out and argued something that I didn't understand what he was arguing later in the game.
No idea.
Things lost in translation in Korea. I mean, it's still baseball. We should still understand what is going on in the game, but somehow there were a couple of things that I did not have a clue about what was happening in that baseball game a couple of times.
I really had no idea either. We got Major Garrett coming up next. Very excited to talk to him. I wonder how invested he has been as a newsman.
He's been texting me since about 3 a.m.
Okay, invested.
I was going to say about Ohtani. And what's going on with him.
Not just in the Padres. He's very invested.
I was very invested in it yesterday. But I will say this, and you guys can back me up on this, that this is not only because I loathe the Dodgers, right? Remember the Astros? I love a baseball scandal. Nobody loves a baseball scandal more than I do. Remember, we did the Dodgers for the Astros for 6 months, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, we hammered it every day. I was fascinated by that, just as I'm fascinated by this. It is a remarkable, partisan aside, it is a remarkable story when the biggest global superstar the game has ever seen is embroiled in a scandal like this after one game. One game.
And whether or not, he did anything involved with gambling, it's a scandal nonetheless.
There is no doubt.
It's his interpreter, and not just the guy he meets at the ballpark who translates for him. A guy who drives to and from the games with him, that they're close to, families, wives are close to each other. This is a big story, no matter what you
team.
think.
And again, you're not special. I would do this if he was on the Pirates. I swear to God, because I love a baseball scandal. We hammered Tatis for all his stuff. I mean, these scandals are like it's like a soap opera for me. So I want to see if Major's been following along on that as well, and maybe just how much trouble he potentially could be in. I don't think anything's going to happen to him at all, and I don't think he bet.
Well, we'll talk about all of the potential consequences and more. First up, though, Major Garrett will join us when we come back with more Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I have Major Garrett standing by. We do have a situation, I believe, on the 5 freeway, so let's get a quick traffic update with Kelly Danick. Then we'll be joined by Major Garrett next here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. Got a number of trouble spots on our roads, guys. Crash blocking the 2 left lanes on northbound 5 before Civic Center. Bigger problems up ahead at La Jolla Village Drive. All lanes are blocked due to police activity. Traffic is being diverted off prior to that. Same goes for southbound 5. All lanes blocked at La Jolla Village Drive. Police activity. We will keep you posted on that. Meanwhile, got another problem out in our East County. Eastbound 8 before Lake Jennings Park Road. Right lane is blocked with an early morning collision. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is your drive-through oil change. It only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. With all the rain lately, Valvoline's also offering replacement wiper blades. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com, SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hi, you heard Kelly, fellow North Countyers. If you're heading down to a work, 8:05 or 15, do not take the 5 this morning. All right, let's go out. Joining us right now, as he does usually very early in every Padres season the last few years, our good friend, the chief Washington correspondent for CBS News, Major Garrett, is back with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Major, it's always a treat to get to talk to you. Happy baseball season to you, sir.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing well, much better this morning than yesterday. Yesterday I was very fussy, Major. Very fussy indeed. Feeling much better today. Much better.
Well, we're all checking the webbing in our glove.
Yes, we are.
We're all checking the webbing in our glove.
And it's a metaphor for life. Make sure you
Yes, it really is.
check your webbing before you walk out the door every day. It's not the worst one I've ever heard.
Exactly. Yes. So, got up early. I'm in Borrego, my little desert hideaway.
Nice.
So my wife and I got up early and watched the game. And yesterday we watched the game and went back to sleep. Can't go back to sleep today because, believe it or not, watching a Canadian rules football game, baseball game played in Seoul, South Korea, that's 15-11, makes you unable to go back to sleep.
Well, and then you've got your brackets to follow because you're the commissioner.
Yep.
Yeah, everything. So it's got all day of watching sports for you.
Watching sports, exactly. I mean, look, I really feel for Ruben Niebla because he's not going to be able to sleep on the flight home because he's going to be looking at his notebook and like, okay, gentlemen, we have a situation here. I know the preseason is rushed, so no one is quite ready, and pitch counts are very sensitive, but still, you cannot look at the way Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove started the 2 games and say, wow, I feel completely at ease about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the ramp up, Major, where you look at it, and the way I kind of spun it, at least in my own brain, was Dodgers lineup is absolutely nasty, maybe the best one that's ever been assembled, so I'm not going to get too panicked about Joe getting hit around a little bit. We saw what happened to Glasnow. He looked pretty good. He looked pretty locked in yesterday. And you looked okay. I'm not going to get too panicked about it yet, but 3 or 4 more Musgrove starts like that, yeah, man, that's when you kind of get a little bit nervous about the depth and length that they'll be able to provide at the top of the rotation.
Yeah, I'm sure Joe's not satisfied at all. You did not have a 7-run lead. Joe did, and he didn't pitch like he did, and that's the thing that bothers me the most. I don't have any problem with Joe getting hit if he's pounding the zone, but he wasn't, and his secondary pitches didn't have the accuracy he needs them to have. So that was a bit alarming. Michael King was great. Not perfect, but he was a great bridge to the bullpen and kept that game where it needed to be kept for the most part. But the Dodgers, to your point, that lineup is basically terrifying 1 to 9.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
not
much.
just solid. It's terrifying. There is not a single relaxation out in that lineup. Even if you've got your best stuff, it's a tough lineup, and they are relentless. The thing I hate the Dodgers, but I also respect the Dodgers. They are relentless, and no game typified that relentlessness more than today, because when you score 15 runs, you should not be biting your nails, as all of us were until the bottom of the 8th when Manny cleared things out and made it obvious we were going to win.
I didn't stop biting my nails in the ninth inning.
I really
Major.
didn't either.
I really didn't.
It was
4 doesn't even seem safe against that Dodgers lineup. Major Garrett is with us from CBS News, and I got a two-part question that I want to get your perspective on. First of all, you've always had good insight as to kind of the organization and ownership and talking to the front office. You've had conversations with them before. Knowing that the payroll and the numbers out right now, the beginning of the season, $92 million less than at the start of last season, kind of just the direction of the organization in your mind, and also how the acquisition of Dylan Cease may have changed your perspective on this season just in the last few days.
Well, boy, do I feel better now that we have Dylan Cease than I did just 2 days ago, because he may flip. He may be the ace. He may flip the rotation. He may be the one who's regarded as the ace of the staff, who gets the preponderance of high leverage starts from this point forward, because basically this season restarts. I mean, I know Musgrove is penciled in next Thursday, but Dylan Cease has electric stuff. I love to see Mike Schultz quote in the paper, "Boy, I just got a lot smarter." Yeah, you run him out every other 5 days, you're going to get smarter as a manager, no doubt. And that clearly stabilizes the rotation. And after these first 2 starts, stability is going to matter. And look, I know AJ gave up talent, but he didn't give up our most marquee talent to get Dylan Cease. I think what we gave up for him is completely worth it. But look, lower payroll does not necessarily mean substandard players. And Jackson Merrill is ready. It's so obvious he's ready. His demeanor at the plate, pitch to pitch, even when he's fooled, he's got the same stance. He's got the same approach.
Yep.
He hits the ball hard. He's comfortable. Is he going to be brilliant in center field? No, but he clearly is comfortable. And when you've got Tatis in right field, that gives you a tremendous amount of confidence about territory you simply don't have to cover as aggressively. So I think Jackson Merrill is a clear indicator of the organization's ability to identify and build talent and put them in the field, possibly slightly ahead of schedule, but that makes your payroll limitations, such as they are, more manageable.
well,
And I look at him as an exciting addition to the lineup. And I love having him in the 9-hole. If that guy's in the 9-hole all season, he may push himself up, but he's a formidable bat right now in the 9-hole.
I was just going to say, talking to Major Garrett here, that his youthful exuberance, is good for. It's hard when we have a team of assassins, every year,
Yeah.
and it's 1 through 9, and this guy's a 3-time All-Star, and this guy's a veteran, and blah blah blah. It's nice to have a kid that doesn't know that he's not supposed to be good at that level yet. And I said early in spring training, they're rushing Jackson Merrill. Then I met Jackson Merrill, watched him play, and said, okay, this feels less like a rush than it did, because it was out of necessity, because we didn't have any money to spend. And I feel like now it's truly a kid that's earned the right to be there. And so far in 2 days in the big leagues, he's exceeded my expectations. So nice to see him, keep the line moving today a couple times.
I mean, just think about it. Ha-Seong Kim, how much he wanted to perform in these 2 games. He hangs an offer. He was quickened. His bat was a little accelerated. He was a little jarred by the atmospherics, understandably. Jackson Merrill wasn't. He looked really comfortable. And I was even surprised how comfortable and quietly confident he looked. And I was reading all these assessments from Manny and Tatis and Xander in the preseason, like we all were, obsessively reading every single thing written about the club. And I'm like, well, I'd like to see for myself. I'm not 100% converted, but I'm nearly there. I think he's ready and looks so solid considering the enormity of the stage and the players who are on the field, not just in his dugout, but in that other dugout. He looked completely ready for the moment.
Speaking of the outfield, Major, after watching just a couple of games in spring training, do you feel like the Padres need to go out and sign Tommy Pham, or even upgrade the offense more by getting a Brandon Belt or even a J.D. Martinez, who are still available?
I know the energy and enthusiasm and vitality that Profar brings to the clubhouse, and I value that. But these two games are going to give the front office a lot to think about in terms of more offensive production, more reliable offensive production, and stronger left field presence. It was not the series that he needed to sort of quiet that sense of searching. If anything, I think the searching is going to accelerate, and the talks for Tommy Pham and others will continue. And Profar might find himself in a bench role if he can't look better than he did there.
I agree with you 100%. Talking to Major Garrett here. Wanted to ask you, I don't know how closely you were following. You're out at your place in Borrego. You were probably playing golf yesterday, I would imagine. Beautiful day.
I did.
Yeah, you lucky SOB. Rams Hill, just the most amazing place. Did you happen to catch all the news about Shohei yesterday, and kind of want to get your thoughts on that? I was riveted by it. I love a baseball scandal, though. I do. It's my soap opera for sure. And I went in a little hard, and for the record, I don't think he was illegally gambling on games, but he's now gambling adjacent, and that's not a good look for Major League Baseball.
No, it isn't. And I have had, in my own mind, for the better part of 3 years, when it was clear that all professional sports in America had sort of given up the idea of resisting the usability, the functionality, the availability of sports betting apps, just basically rolling over and saying, oh, sure, we can manage it, go ahead, and watching the transformation of ESPN from a sports journalism and sports network into a sports journalism and also gambling network, where they're infusing betting odds and various parlays into the journalism, quote unquote, of ESPN.
Oh, yeah.
I've always thought this is going to end in ruin. It's not sustainable. There's too many temptations. There are too many ways in which gambling, and listen, I lived in Las Vegas for 2 years in the late 80s. Sports books were just coming online then, but even then there were conversations about people and the availability of sports betting becoming addictive. And I just think it's a huge problem that is going to explode in lots of unfortunate and unhappy ways for lots of people. And Major League Baseball now has a serious problem. Shohei's not answering questions. Dave Roberts didn't answer questions before the game today. We don't know where this is going to go. But at minimum, even if the most benign explanations are true and can be proven to be true, it's still a bad look. And there's, according to the collective bargaining agreement, if there's any evidence at all that Shohei had any knowledge of what the money was going to, then he's sanctionable under the collective bargaining agreement. And that's a reality. And that means some kind of suspension or some kind of commissioner action against one of the most important stars of the game. If that's not an indicator of the dangers, I'm telling you, the flashing red light dangers that all major sports are playing with, because they're all in on it. They're all enthusiastic about, bet this, bet that, bet this. Bet. I'm telling you, it's going to be a disaster. Maybe not an epic disaster that will ruin the sport, but people are going to make mistakes. Temptations will overtake judgment, and problems will arise. It is inevitable.
Matthew in our chat writes, welcome back to SportsCenter presented by ESPN Bet. For more on the Ohtani situation, we go to our FanDuel MLB insider Jeff Passan at our DraftKings studio in Los Angeles, brought to you by BetQL.
I get absolutely right.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's just
Perfect.
like
I couldn't
that.
have written that better.
Now, as a Washington correspondent, I'm sure you've never seen a story where a spokesperson comes out with one story and then completely disavows it about 30 minutes later.
Oh yeah. I mean, everyone now is in Lawyerville. Everyone, because the lawyers are clamping down on everything because they don't know what the bottom line is. More importantly, they don't know what the provable bottom line is. And so nobody wants to say anything right now declarative, because the stories have already shifted in 24 hours from the interpreter. One, it was, he paid it off. No, he didn't pay me off. No, that didn't happen. Look, something happened. Money changed hands. Money went to a place it should not have gone for someone who was not only an interpreter, but deeply aligned with Shohei, been a part of his life for many, many years. We don't know the bottom of this story, but we know, and I know, my gut instinct tells me when everything starts clamping down and no one's taking questions and everyone's trying to hum their way through, like la-di-da, oh, we're getting out of plane, got to go, see ya. No, there's a story to chase here, and it will be chased.
Man, it's fascinating.
Major, we really appreciate it, as always. Glad that you're in town for a little bit. Enjoy the peaceful relaxation of Borrego, and hopefully we'll get to visit you sometime soon again.
That'd be great. I'm back to D.C. on Saturday.
Yeah,
Thank
he's
you,
got to
buddy.
go back to D.C. Of course he does.
Thanks,
Major
guys.
Garrett, Chief Washington correspondent for CBS News, joining us, and some good insight there. Obviously not an insider, but always seems to have takes like he's a baseball insider. That's what always amazes me about Major. He could easily slip into one of those roles if he wanted to, because his takes are always so insightful and well-informed and measured at the same time. It's good perspective.
Yeah, it's just a really fascinating scene of them saying, and by them I mean Shohei Ohtani's camp, saying one thing. Yeah, he helped his buddy who needed $4.5 million. You're the worst gambler of all time, and I'm a pretty bad gambler. Also, who's the guy in San Diego that will let you go $4.5 million in debt on credit, and where do I find
Well, I think
him?
that's why a lot of people are speculating. And again, you said you don't really think that Ohtani was betting, but
don't.
a lot of people are
might
saying,
have.
why
I mean,
would a bookie ever bet? Let an interpreter bet that much? Interpreter not going to be able to pay off the
'Cause
losses.
He had Ohtani as his
He
backing.
knew who was, yeah.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
But
They also said the bookie people saw Shohei's name like on, and he wanted the clout of like, Shohei Ohtani is in my
one of my clients,
in my
yeah.
crew, right? But again, like I said, being gambling adjacent is still not, especially with baseball. If they find out that there was any baseball involved, I think that's when he's really screwed. I think we all know. I tweeted it last night. Not that's going to happen. Not a damn thing's going to happen. The Dodgers are not going to get in any trouble. Shohei Ohtani's not going to get in any trouble. But them coming out saying he was a victim and was stolen from, that's the part I can't wrap my head around.
there will be pressure to issue some sort of discipline if even these facts come out and are fairly true. From Rob Manfred, will feel some pressure. Now, it's not a Pete Rose lifetime ban sort of
No.
situation. In fact, there's no actual prescribed discipline in the collective bargaining agreement. It simply states that a player who's involved in illegal gambling, which means like with a bookie, even if it's like on football, can be subject to discipline from the commissioner. But it's up to the commissioner's discretion. And with that discretion there, he's not going to be, the meal ticket that is Shohei Ohtani, he's not going to disappear for half a season or something like that.
Yeah, if wire transfers in October of 23 and in November of 23, $500,000 each from Shohei Ohtani. Like, your name is on it. I don't think you were placing bets or covering bets that you lost, but you're covering up for somebody. I don't know that he stole it from you.
All right, we'll continue to
Weird,
run this
man.
conversation in our second hour of our 2-hour show. Coming back next with more Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Don't go away.
That got me a little bit. For those of you in the YouTube chat, probably can't hear this, where Paulie came back with Kenny Rogers, the gambler. Very interesting scene yesterday in Major League Baseball. Yeah, I mean, look, you can speculate all you want. I'm not really going to. And I feel like I didn't last night. I have opinions about this. But for me, like Paulie said, this story doesn't even grab me that much. It's just a huge distraction. And I can't tell you how many times.
Major, I read the initial story on ESPN, and then I was like, see what happens.
Major just said it. I've heard it from, I think Trevor Plouffe said it recently. Over the last few weeks, I've heard this exact quote. There's going to be a huge scandal in betting. And I almost tweeted, you mean another one? Like, we've had these before. Tim Donaghy was such a massive scandal. Pete Rose is the never-ending scandal. It's never going away. We've had this stuff before. Are you of the opinion, Ben, that the more you legalize something, sometimes after a while, like, does it lose its luster? Like, is that the whole impetus behind, like, just let them do what they want? Obviously, you can't bet on baseball or the sport you play in. But think about Calvin Ridley. There's been a guy suspended for a year in the NFL for doing DraftKings and stuff. Like,
I think your point is, for some people, the illicitness of it is the actual appeal. Maybe
why
not,
are you staring at me directly?
Not the act itself. But I think for other people, the rules do like keep them from ever getting involved in something that maybe they shouldn't be getting involved in. And when it becomes easier and more convenient, all of a sudden they get a little taste of it, and they can't control, those impulses of what they want to do. So there will be people who, when gambling becomes on your phone and so easy to do, and you get a problem, you get addicted to it, you're going to see more of those types of situations.
Now, again, please don't think that, if you're listening right now and you're a Dodger fan or something, you're pissed off. And I get it. I would actually be pretty pissed. Like, we came out, we got you, we gave you all this money, and I know you deferred it and you're the big hero and everything. But I'd also be like, man, this is a huge, massive distraction. And you clearly knew something was going on. Clearly. And he and his interpreter, the fact that now the story was changed to his interpreter stole $4.5 million from him. They were playing grab ass in the dugout yesterday when, by the way, they knew. Shohei allegedly knew about this at that time. That's a guy that just stole $500,000. Stole it. You didn't give it to him.
People fired like right after the manager's post game.
So they
interview?
said right after the game, the guy went in, the interpreter Ippy, and said, I have a gambling problem. The story's about to come out. It's all my fault. It's not his fault. I did this. But the original story was that Shohei helped his buddy out. If that was the story, no problem. But to paint Shohei as some sort of odd victim and just, what, me? Oh, I'm such a rube. I can't believe I got taken. I don't buy that for a second. Not a second. And I think there's way more to the story. Now, you made an interesting hypothetical. That guy makes $300,000 a year. Somehow he's able to rack up $500,000 credit. Let's just call it $500,000. There's nothing wrong with Shohei liking to get. He's even allowed to place bets, I think, on international soccer games.
Yeah, baseball players are allowed to legally place bets with reputable sports books on non-baseball sports, football, soccer. They want to place a bet. It is not forbidden in the CBA or by the rules of Major League Baseball.
So if you're Ohtani. Because you know more about sports than I do, but I gamble way more than you. And I'm also a riskier gambler than you. It would be like you saying, hey, I also like, West Ham tonight. And I actually like them pretty big. If you want to go bigger than your normal, I got your back. Is there anything wrong with that? No, not really.
I would argue that is Shohei Ohtani than gambling.
But he's allowed to do it if it's on soccer.
Well, if he's allowed, but he's not allowed to do it with an illegal bookmaker.
With an illegal bookmaker, yes, exactly.
And if he said to his interpreter, even though the interpreter was the one betting, like, go ahead, I'll cover your bigger bet. Essentially, Shohei is the one gambling. If it's Shohei's money, he's the one gambling. Even if someone else places the bet, there's a lot of people who don't place bets themselves. But if it's their money, then they're the one betting. Just because you have a runner who places the bet for you, someone who goes to the window at the racetrack and hands the money to the teller, that's not the person who placed the bet. It's the person whose money it was that placed the bet. And to me, it seems clear that this gambling was done with Shohei Ohtani's money. So if the money was not stolen from Shohei Ohtani, and as you said, that story makes almost no sense for many reasons. The fact that they didn't seem to have a problem with it 24 hours ago in the dugout when they were talking to each other. But more, as many people in the chat have pointed out, in today's day of double face verification and alerts from your bank and calls from the bank and 17 texts, and you got to triple verify everything, that somehow Shohei Ohtani could not know that someone is transferring $4.5 million out of his account without any knowledge whatsoever. And I get he's got a lot of money, so $4.5 million is, maybe $20,000 to the rest of us. Still, I think we'd all notice if $20,000 went missing from our account.
Right.
Someone would tell us that this money is disappearing.
But doesn't he also? He knows when he goes to his laptop and logs into this guy, whatever his name was, his betting site, which is an illegal betting site. Is he that dumb that he's like, Shohei Ohtani, loan, $500,000?
Apparently.
He's that dumb?
Apparently.
So that's...
they didn't know that there was a federal investigation going on. So you're assuming the bookie's going to be discreet and not going to, send that out to everybody. But what they didn't know, and the reason this is coming out now, is because they're under federal investigation.
Now I'm seeing that they're not.
I saw that yesterday that they were.
Now I'm seeing that they're not.
Not under federal investigation.
It doesn't surprise me. If the story came out and it said, my buddy got in some trouble, I gave him $4.5 million to cover his ass so he didn't get killed by bookies, who has a problem with that? I don't. I'd be like, oh, man.
Who has a buddy that good? I don't know.
I wouldn't. If you needed $1,000,
which is the equivalent of $4.5 million to Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I'd give you $1,000.
Thanks.
So you wouldn't get killed by bookies. Now I'd have to beg for it. Adam would not give it to me. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a story that's plausible, completely believable, and actually kind of sweet. If you're like, my guy is the worst gambler of all time. He racked up $5 million in debt. I covered his ass. He's going to be in debt to me for the rest of his life. But to now make him the fall guy of like, now he's a thief?
That's the opposite of it. If he didn't steal this money and you are trying to save your own butt by accusing this translator of stealing the money when he didn't do it,
gnarly.
That really would be the worst thing that Shohei Ohtani has done in this whole situation.
That is terrible.
To throw a guy completely under the bus, say we're referring it to the authorities when you very well maybe know. He didn't steal any money. You gave it to him. You let him gamble it, whatever you did. That makes so much more sense than the guy actually going into your account and stealing money because he was gambling 10 times his yearly salary. I mean, 10 times your yearly salary is what you're losing. And by the way, what you lose is usually about 5 to 10% of what you're gambling, which means if he lost $4.5 million,
much did he win?
He was betting about $50 million.
That's fair.
Right? If you lost $4.5 million, you're probably betting $40 to $50 million overall in bets. Because you win
that much.
You win some of them too.
You do win. Now I've had some streaks where you feel like you're never going to win again. But I'm talking $25-50 a game.
So a guy who reportedly makes low six figures, which seems like a good job for just translating for Shohei Ohtani,
and getting to roll around with Shohei Ohtani,
is betting somewhere
goose.
between $40 and $50 million over the last few years on sports without Shohei's knowledge. Right. By the way, I know what Padres fans are thinking.
Suspend him.
They're thinking that this is the first thread that unravels the juggernaut that is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah.
Probably won't be, but might be.
He didn't look that bothered today. I mean, he hit like 4 balls on the screws.
It probably won't unravel the entire Dodgers season. He's probably not going to face much, if any, punishment at all.
No.
But it will be a distraction. It will be something that they weren't expecting to deal with, that they're going to have to deal with. He's not going to be able to dodge every reporter for 160 more games. Yeah, you can get on a plane from Korea back home today and dodge it for a day. You have to face the media every day when you're a baseball player. There's no way he can dodge this story without it becoming a bigger story. His story is going to have to be so buttoned up tight, or it's just no comment, no comment, no comment until he is absolutely weary of it. It will have an effect. How much? I don't really know. I'm not going to pin my hopes on the Dodgers' collapse on this, but I know what you're thinking because I thought it too.
Yeah, I absolutely thought it too. A distraction, an absolute distraction. And again, a guy that's been pretty private with the media since he's gotten into the league, man, it just makes it worse. I mean, again, I think this thing goes away if you come out today and say, my friend Epi has a problem. He gambled $5 million. He doesn't have that money. I do. I paid it. He's my friend. He effed up, but I covered it. And I realize now that I could be liable because my name is on it. That's a mistake on my part.
That was the original story until they realized you're actually admitting to a crime here, so now we've got to change our story.
And it's not a crime. It's not punishable by death. They're going to fine him, and he'll have to take some gambling sensitivity course, and he moves on with his life. That's it.
I'd like to see you at a gambling sensitivity course.
I mean, it's like just them thinking that
we're not being judgmental on people who gamble.
How could I be? That'd be the most hypocritical thing of all
I endorse
time.
Prize Picks over here. It's fun. I mean, it's fun. Do it responsibly. It's fun.
Sorry, Ipe, not Ippy. My bad. I just think that it is. I just think that we always say the cover-up's way worse than the crime, man. I think you have to get out in front of it and wear it. And if that really is the case, like, thanks for being a good friend, dude, and enabling this guy to the tune of $4.5 million. I just can't get behind the fact that this was allegedly suddenly stolen unbeknownst to him. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. It really is. There's a really interesting timeline that was tweeted out yesterday that I read, and it sums it up, but I can kind of, summarize it for you. Essentially, if you're in the dark about this, Ohtani's name comes up in federal investigation. I saw some report saying that it's not in a federal investigation. Ohtani's team says Shohei transferred the money to the bookkeeper to pay his debt. Ohtani's team sends the guy, the interpreter, to ESPN. He states...
Well, someone found out about it because otherwise no one would be talking about it at all.
Right.
So someone somehow found out about Ohtani's name on the wire transfer, whether it was the feds or the media.
That's true.
Someone found out about it. You're not just voluntarily setting up your interpreter to talk about this unless someone found out about it.
So again, Ohtani's team says he transferred the money. Then Ohtani team sends the guy to ESPN to do an interview. Then they said, oh, he's lying. There's been a massive theft. Then those two cats are in the dugout together, hamming it up, whatever. They've been together a long time. They've been friends a long time. It's a sad story at the end of the day. And if it does come out that somehow Shohei Ohtani was in the dark about the 4-5 that he was putting his name on, I just can't buy that. I can't buy it.
You never count your money when you're sitting in the dugout.
There'll be time enough for counting
when the game is done.
When the season's done. Nothing's going to happen to him. Manfred would take a bullet for him. He is a literal cash cow. He also protects the Dodgers, and there's no ramifications that are going to come from it, unless they literally have the guy on tape being like, I'd like to bet $50,000 on myself. I'm pitching and hitting today, So we'll see how it shakes out. But, man, what an interesting story yesterday.
All right, this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by your local San Diego County The UPS store. Your local San Diego County The UPS store locations are hosting a shred event from March 27th through March 30th. 50% off shredding services. Visit theupsstore.com for the location nearest you. See store for details. You want to open the phone lines for Padres fans after a 15-11 win over the LA Dodgers? Not last night, this morning in Korea. We want to hear from you for the rest of the show. We're here for 45 more minutes. 833-288-0973. This is your time to chat Padres with us out there. 833-288-0973. We'll be right back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
show, and I'm a wreck. I hate it. We have way too much stuff to get to. I hate saving things for the next day. I love starting with a blank canvas every day, and this is not enough time with our audience.
Goldilocks over here can't get it just right.
3 hours is right. Like
2 hours is too short. 4 hours is too long.
Like everybody else does. That's all. I just want to be fair. It's just fair.
All right,
but this 2 hours is not enough time.
I get a couple of things.
Craig and Annie would be totally fine to let you stay till 11.
Do another hour. Maybe I'll do an hour with them. Get it out. Get my jollies out.
Let me quickly remind everyone, and we'll get out to the phones here, 833-288-0973, that 1 week from this morning, we will be live for Padres opening day from Baja Rick's Cantina, located at the corner of 6th and L in the Gas Lamp. Kicks off 6 a.m., our show 6 to 10, followed by Annie and Elston from 10 to noon. Giving away tickets to the Padres-Cardinals game on April 2nd, when we're going to be throwing out the ceremonial first pitch. Plus, there'll be Blue Moon, Coors Light, and Topo Chico specials, breakfast served from 6 to 10. That's Thursday. Next week, March 28th, at Baja Rick's Cantina on the corner of 6th and L in the Gas Lamp, brought to you by Blue Moon. Celebrate responsibly. And we still have our Padres Wrap Up, our first victorious Padres Wrap Up of the season to get to at the bottom of the hour. And we got to reveal the 2 finalists for the Tournament of Drops as well, as voted upon by you yesterday in our Final Four. So our championship match can be decided tomorrow and reveal the winner. So lots to get to in this 2-hour show in the next 37 minutes. But let's go out to the phones. We got Taylor standing by, wants to talk a little Padres baseball.
That's not
We
going to
just
work.
maybe just bang. Oh, hey, we're losing you.
That's not going
Maybe just bang phone calls.
Yeah.
I mean, we only have 30 minutes left.
All right, shall we just get to the Tournament
we
of
don't
Drops?
take
We
phone
don't
calls
take
in a
phone calls in a
4-hour
4-hour
show.
show. We have a 2-hour
Yeah, but we're never
show. We have
we're
March
never on
Madness.
right after. This is the only time we're ever going to be on right after a Padres win.
So what?
There will always be at least a night before when we get up in the morning.
Who cares?
So
All right,
what,
fine. Let's
though?
do the Tournament of Drops then. You ready? It's time to get to the 2
Yes.
Final Four matchups.
Yes, I'm ready.
In our Tournament of Drops. In the left side of our bracket, we had the champion of the explicit region, our very own Kelly Danick, the 6th seed, shocking everyone and getting to the national semifinals here.
And someone didn't secure their load of gravel.
Going up against the winner of the baseball bracket, the region, in the lower left-hand quadrant, Goose Gossage from Goose Gossage from training from fantasy camp.
You're a nerd too.
And the winner with 57. Well, I was gonna save all this for later, so now you're catching me off guard. The winner with 57.4% of the vote and headed to the championship round is.
And someone didn't secure their load of gravel.
Wow, Kelly Danick knocks off the big Groose
How do you
in the
beat
final.
Bruce? How do you beat Bruce Gossage at anything? What a great flub.
And then over on the right side, our anatomy region champion, the 2nd seed,
Fister? Yeah, absolutely.
Hotel Talk in Milwaukee, going up against
Hotel
the wild card region champion, the 3rd seed.
It's a complete crap.
Coach Darko from Toronto, and the winner and going to the championship round with 53.6% of the vote was.
It's a complete crap.
Wow. So your final tomorrow. We've
great
got
drop.
24 hours. Paulie's going to put up the championship drop voting now. Kelly Danick.
And someone didn't secure their load of gravel.
Against Darko.
It's a complete crap.
And the winner will be crowned the 5th annual Tournament of Drops champion on our Friday program tomorrow, Woods.
Pedro says, I don't want to hear why gambling is a degenerate way of life on the phone calls. Just say it. No, the guy called from a potato, and it sounded like ass, so I decided not to take the call. I gamble. I love to gamble. Today's March Madness. I've got to get home and get my bets in.
Oh, I've got some parlays put together, my
it's
friend.
like the greatest. Is it a degenerate way of life? That's interesting. You can be a degenerate with food. You can be a degenerate with alcohol. You can be a degenerate with gambling. You can be a degenerate with sex. You can be a degenerate with a lot of things.
Run differential.
If there was an AA for run differential, you should be in it. You tweeted this morning,
RDA.
+1. I'm Ben. I'm a run differential addict. That's not it at all. I'm certainly not afraid to have people call in and give their opinions on gambling. I think you can be a degenerate about a lot of stuff. But I think like anything, like I finally learned how to control in my life alcohol, where I don't drink very much. I will go over the line occasionally, but not like I used to. And because I don't like feeling that way anymore.
Is what you're doing hurting other people? If it is, then you shouldn't
Right.
even do it once.
Correct.
If it may be hurting yourself, yeah, I mean, you can have room for a little bit of that in your life. There's a little self-destructive behavior
Sure.
is okay for everybody from time to time. I'm not going to judge you if that's what you like to do. Now, if you're doing it all the time and it's constantly self-destructive, it's not good for you, and it's probably not good for the people who care for you as well. So you got to evaluate it.
But when it comes to sports, like this is the way that it is now. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Does it gross me out a little bit sometimes? Yeah, it does. It's very, very odd to see, so-and-so brought to you by this and brought to you by that. But I also understand money is the root of all of this for professional sports. And I'm not going to not watch sports because it's brought to you by DraftKings or something. Like I'm in a DraftKings group. I pick 6 golfers a week. I love it. I have a great time with it. But it's like $3. You know what I mean?
Gambling has certainly ruined lives and
100%.
families.
So has food. So
And
has sex.
alcohol
so has drugs.
has ruined
Yeah.
more lives and more families. And every single sporting event you watch will have beer ads and commercials,
doubt.
and they're not going away.
Yeah.
So if you're drawing that line in the sand, you really can't watch or listen to anything ever again.
Ever. I mean, honestly, you have to live in a cave, and so no. So yeah, I would love to take calls on it. I think it's fascinating. I think it's a fascinating story. And again, somebody asked me on Twitter, so what punishment should the Dodgers get? And I said,
Dodgers?
I said none. I said the Dodgers. I've never said the Dodgers should be punished. Maybe like flippantly as a joke because
I guess they employed the interpreter, but
I don't. They're not going to get in any trouble. But like, I don't even know that Shohei should get suspended. But this is again, your name is on illegal wire transfer. Something needs to be looked at, don't you think?
yeah, you can't simply just completely sweep this under the rug and pretend it didn't exist. At the very least, you got to get to the bottom of it, figure out what happened, why it happened, and the true facts behind the story. And
That's
then you can
exactly
decide if any sort of, suspension is or is not warranted. But you can't do it unless you actually get down to the facts and figure out what's there. I just wanted to take some calls on the Padres win because they won 15-11. It was the first win of the season.
Okay. If you don't have a potato,
What I'm shocked
call
by is that sports talk radio has now existed for 40 years.
Yeah.
And within the first 3 or 4 years, they invented cell phones and people called radio stations from cell phones, and it was hit or miss back then. Now we have phones that are veritable supercomputers in the palm of our hands, and yet still
awful.
when you call into a sports radio station, it always sounds like,
cuts out. It's terrible.
how is it that we haven't advanced that part of the technology in the last 40 years? My phone can store 50,000 songs on it and 17 movies or more, but it can't make a phone call still.
Ben, why do they use a pickaxe when they clean your teeth at the dentist? There's not something I can just swish around in my mouth and my plaque is gone? I mean, what are we doing? Like, we focus on the wrong things in this place. Oh, cool, this guy launched a rocket. I'm like, get a dentist something that doesn't rip my teeth and gums to shreds when I go to the dentist's office. That's what I want.
I don't understand. Let's take a time out. We'll come back. I do want to hear the first ever victorious edition of our Padres Wrap Up. We heard Paulie's new open for a loss yesterday.
Didn't want to
I really did not want to have to wait at least another week to hear the winning version. So you'll get the winning version of the Padres Wrap Up when we come back. Final segment of Ben and Woods next here on 97.3 The Fan. Don't go away.
I'm so unsatisfied right now. I feel so unsatisfied. This is it. This is our last segment of the day. It's weird.
Unsatisfied?
Yeah, I feel unsatisfied. I'm not creatively fulfilled today. We had this great game, tons of runs. Everything feels rushed. I have so much energy, and I don't know what to do. Like, what am I going to do for the rest of the day?
Watch basketball.
Yeah, watch basketball.
First game's underway. Michigan State leading Mississippi State 20-8.
Wow.
Halfway through the first half. I, of course, took Mississippi State, the 8th seed, in my bracket. So that perfect bracket is in a lot of trouble already.
Oh, man.
After just a few minutes. They're talking Ohtani interpreter on ESPN with Pat McAfee and Jeff Passan on our other television. I have no idea. How long is our Padres Wrap Up coming up here, Paulie? I mean, 50.
It was a long one.
15-11. It's the most runs that have ever been scored in a Padres-Dodgers game. And they've been playing many, many times per season, going all the way back to 1969. Have never combined for 26 runs before. The Padres have never scored 15 runs against the Dodgers in a game before. First time it happened. We got tons of highlights for you. We've also got our first winning open for our Padres Wrap-Up right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
What a morning for northbound 5 travelers. They did clear that crash out of the 2 left lanes just before Civic Center. Now, up ahead, stalled vehicle near the 52. That's got the right lane blocked, but they did reopen lanes at La Jolla Village Drive, both directions of the 5. They had things shut down for a while, all due to some police activity, but that's all wrapped up. Southbound side of the 5, just before the 805 split accident over to the right shoulder. Also, northbound side of the 805 before Governor. There is a collision involving a couple vehicles, including a big rig. That's over to the right shoulder. Southbound side of the 15, right before the King Freeway, stalled transit bus in middle lanes. And you're still going to find the right lane blocked eastbound 8 before Lake Jennings Park Road, all due to cleanup from an earlier accident. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I love winning, man. I love winning. You hear what I'm saying? It's like better than losing.
Oh, my God, I'm so stiff.
Miss any of the Padres win yesterday? Ben and Woods didn't.
What up, crew?
We've got you covered with all of the highlights.
I like it when the Padres win.
Yeah! Yeah! It's the Padres Wrap Up, presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. Yeah!
Give me a do damage.
Do damage!
It's Cronenworth coming. That's lined sharply down the right field side. A fair ball going to go all the way to the corner and going to give the Padres a lead. Bogaerts has scored. Tatis is on his way. He will score, and Cronenworth, who tripled 7 times last year, is into third base with a 2-run 3-bagger. 2-2 hit on the ground towards third base. That is a fair ball over the bag and off Muncie's glove down the line. Machado will come in to score. Campusano ends up at second base, and the Padres now lead 4-0 in the top of the first inning. 3-2 to Tyler Wade. Here's the pitch, and that's lined sharply into right field. That'll get down for a base hit. Hayward has to play it on a hop in front of the warning track. He'll hold Wade to a single, but Campusano will score easily. And now 5-0 San Diego in the first. 1-2 pitch, hit in the air to right field, struck well and down for a base hit in front of Hayward. Jackson Merrill with his first major league hit. A hard hit line drive single to right, and the Padres have the bases loaded with 1 out, and the top of the order coming up. Here's the 0-1. Bogaerts swings, lines it into center field. That's down for a base hit. And Busano will score. Wade is on his way. Throw from center is not in time. A 2-run single for Bogaerts. And the Padres lead it 7-2 here in the third. Here's the 1-0. Tatis chops it on the ground to third. Muncy charges, has it go off his glove into left field. Merrill will score. Bogaerts on his way to third. He'll get there without a throw, and now 8-2 in the top of the third inning. That sends this one in the air to very deep left field. Profar turns around to watch. Gonna go first ever major league home run in Korea, and it belongs to Mookie Betts. A 2-run shot here in the bottom of the 5th inning, and the Padre lead is now 10-8. 33-year-old Suarez set, kicks, deals, and the pitch grounded up the middle, and Bogaerts dives, has it go off the glove, rolls into left field. Outman has scored. Hayward on his way, the throw not in time, and that's into second base on the throw. 2 runs for the Dodgers, and a 1-run game in the 8th. And the pitch is hammered in the air to deep left field. Way back off the scoreboard in left. A long home run for Machado. It's a 3-run homer, and the lead is reinflated. Padres up 15-11.
Turns out the disengagement didn't matter. This ball is pummeled to left field.
Suarez is strike away, ahead 0-2 on Muncy. The right-hander delivers, and a swing and a miss. Came right back with another fastball, and at 100 miles an hour, Muncy swings and misses as the ball game comes to a close. Suarez a 1-2-3 ninth inning with a couple of strikeouts. The Dodgers go in order for the first time this series, and the Padres win a wild one, 15-11 here in Seoul.
Yeah, it means a lot for the group. You know, I'm really proud of this group. The way we did it, complete identity game. You know, a lot of courage, a lot of toughness, a lot of fight. You have that kind of game early, especially after coming back of a tough one yesterday, and to come back and fight for it like we did tonight, and you know, keep going. I mean, they came clearly back at us. It's like a heavyweight fight, and so it really feels good. But no, it's a really big identity game for our group. We talk about that a lot, and they put it on display tonight how they competed.
Do you see Schulte growing that little crustache? He's got that little tiny little crustache going right now.
Is he doing a Seidler stash?
Working on it
so.
for the Seidler Memorial, I would think, on Saturday. I wish I could do one.
I wish I could go to the Memorial. I can't go to the Memorial. I've got a T-ball game, and I'm the coach, and I'm bummed that it goes down at the same time. I'm really bummed. I mean, I want to be there and pay my respects. You know, our baseball team donating $100 after every win is a little something that we can do this year. But I really wanted to be there, and so please pass my condolences along to Peter's wife Sheila and their children if you get a chance to meet them. You know, we've communicated before, but I wish I could be there. I really do, and I'm bummed that I can't be there and celebrate the man who was incredible to us and incredible to San Diego.
By the way, Paulie, great job on the new Open
Yeah,
for
it's
the
awesome.
Padres Wrap Up for the winning version. And the graphic
Hope to
on
hear that a lot
YouTube was
more.
Me too.
fantastic. Yeah, I hope we heard a lot more than we did last season. Would be nice. So Mike Schilt and the rest of the Padres went straight from the Gochok Sky Dome to Incheon Airport, where they boarded their charter plane. Took off, I believe, a little while ago. So it is early Friday morning when they took off already in Korea. They will now fly all the way back to San Diego, where they will land late Thursday night here in San Diego. So they will actually arrive a day before they leave from South Korea because of the international dateline as they go across the Pacific Ocean. And then they'll have all of Friday to rest and recover, hopefully, from the trip. And then, of course, the Seidler Memorial on Saturday, Fan Fest on Sunday, exhibition games against the Mariners on Monday and Tuesday. Then Wednesday, last workout day, cross your T's, dot your I's before the home opener next Thursday against the San Francisco Giants at 1:05 p.m.
Now, what broadcast did you watch this morning when you woke up at your home?
When I woke up, I watched Don and Mud on my phone because it worked for free still. And then when we were here, we were listening to Jesse and Tony with a bit of a delay on the ESPN feed on the TVs in here.
I wanted to hear Ravitch and
oh, you did?
Yeah, because
God, you're a glutton.
I wanted to hear how they covered Ohtani, and they barely mentioned it early. Barely. You know, oh, he's under a little bit of investigation. Anyway, I mean, and it went like that. But when the Dodgers got down early, the excuse making was gnarly. Like, it was, well, I mean, look, it's a long flight. These guys are probably tired. Their body clock. Haven't you found that you're a little bit tired? I'm sitting here going, you're joking, right? Like, this is, it's pretty evident. And I know we make a big deal out of it in San Diego a lot, but it is pretty obvious when you see it. No one expects them to ever lose a game. I mean, including ESPN. So I'm interested to spend my day today. I'm probably going to spend my day today, Benny, watching basketball. And then I want to go back and watch Jeff Passan, who was just on Pat McAfee talking about updates to this Shohei Ohtani situation. Who knows, man? Who knows what could materialize out of this?
I mean, yeah, the travel is something. I think even more stressful, though, and extra shout out to some of the Asian-born players in this series, Ha-Sung Kim in particular. The demands on his time, saw that he got all of his teammates those ceremonial robes that were really cool.
I would like one.
Would you wear that around?
Are you kidding me?
Tatis was going, I know I'll look good in that thing.
Have you not seen
You'll be the only one, I think, Fernando.
Have you not seen my robe collection? I have several.
You've got a strong robe game.
Several luxurious robes at my home.
So
my kids hate when I wear them,
but
and so I wear them.
with
the robe is like the most dad move.
100%.
We see how big the media contingent is of Asian, Korean, and Japanese media here in the United States that covers the players there. Now, imagine over there when they don't have to travel, how much coverage they had to go through, even for a player like Yu Darvish, who is over there, with a tremendous amount of Japanese media and Asian language media. I know he had a number of different appearances. He did an appearance on Japanese television. I don't know if that was from earlier today, I think, before the game. He did a live TV spot on Japanese television, Woods. And wouldn't you know that in his pregame outfit on television, Yu Darvish was wearing his Ben and Woods T-shirt. How about that?
I almost died, dude. I really did. It was one of a really cool and surreal moment in a week or 2 weeks or 3 months of surreal moments that have happened. I kind of audibly go, oh. And I ran into the kitchen and showed my wife. She goes, what? I go, look at his shirt. She goes, oh, my God. I couldn't believe it.
I sent it to my mom, and she said, I'll watch the video later. I go, it's not a video. Just look at the shirt that he's wearing on television. Oh, didn't catch that.
Megan when she woke up. I was watching the game from bed, and she was like starting to stir. I was like, babe, you got to check this out. She's doing the squint. She's like, oh, cool. It's Yu Darvish. I was like, and?
Keep looking.
And then she was, oh, my God, the shirt.
I sent it to my dad, and the tweet, and he goes, hey, I wanted to save that picture, but I couldn't get it to save. I'm like, let me hold my thumb down on it, click save picture, and I'll just text it to you. Oh, thanks.
Or, screenshot, just
screenshot
the phone, click, there it is.
It was awesome.
Really easy to do.
What a really cool moment, man. Just another cool moment.
I'd almost guess that, like, Ha-Sung Kim, as nice as it was to be home, he's probably breathing a little sigh of relief now that he's on the plane back to the United States.
Yes. Are you kidding? He's like, God, get me out of here ASAP. Yes, it's great. I love the big leagues. Yes, I love my teammates. It's super.
Such an honor to play.
It's an honor to play.
Padres.
My cousins are here.
Great, yeah.
It's great. This is fantastic. Love seeing my old teammates. I love this. He was the first guy on the plane. He's the only guy that didn't get a hit, too. He's just like, he was pressing so hard. But, man, what a great win today. One, again, Craig is going to hit this on their show, I'm sure, and he tweeted it early, and I couldn't agree more. A game you definitely feel like we lost last year. I mean, you could see it sliding away. And when Manning hit that home run, we were all in here early, and the place just went bananas. Everyone went bananas and slapping five, and just needed it so badly. So it was a great win. You got a lot more games to go. And now you got Bob Melvin and the Giants coming in. You got a tough pitcher a week from today in Logan Webb. You got to figure out how to solve him and keep hitting and keep the good vibes going.
This hour on 97 through the Fan brought to you by your local San Diego County, the UPS Store. Your local San Diego County, the UPS Store locations are hosting a shred event from March 27th through March 30th. 50% off shredding services. Visit the upsstore.com for the location nearest you. See store for details. Speaking of shredding, do we want to say who's going to be on the show tomorrow?
Yeah.
I thought we already did.
Did we already announce that?
The great Brett Michaels is going to be on the show tomorrow. Full disclosure, we're going to tape it today and play it for you tomorrow because he's going to be performing after the Seals game on Saturday night, and you can get your tickets at sealslax.com.
And for those who aren't as big on the musical scene of the last 40 years as maybe others, Brett Michaels is?
He was the lead singer of Poison, but he's also famous.
He's the star of Rock of Love.
Star of Rock of Love.
That's what he is.
And just a great dude. His daughter, Rain, is our sideline reporter, so he's going to play a little set after the Seals game, hopefully a win and a playoff clinch, I believe, if we win. So that'll be incredible. Love to wrap it up with a win and then a Brett Michaels show.
Brett and Shilty, Noah, Lisa, we are giving Mike Schilt the day off tomorrow on the flight. He will start his regular Friday appearances with us next Friday on the Ben and Woods program. I think that would be asking a little too much to have Mike Schilt get up first thing in the morning to come on the radio after a 14-hour flight. I think it even takes longer to go eastbound because of the trade winds or whatever they are. So, no, he will. We won't have Mike Schilt on tomorrow. We'll have Brett Michaels instead.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about what he thinks of the San Diego Padres for the 2024 season.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Is he a sports fan at all?
He loves sports.
Yes.
He's a Pittsburgh fan. I think he's from Pittsburgh, so I know he's way into
Get my Penguins questions ready for him.
Paul, just turn his mic. Oh, you can just go. I'll just do it.
Really?
Yeah, you can
I
go
can just
home.
leave?
Go for the
No,
day.
I'm not going to miss this.
No, please.
I think he's going to enjoy my insight.
I'm really nervous.
I'm so nervous.
Interesting line of questioning.
Well, again, we are taping it, so maybe we can actually we'll just
Let me
edit,
ask whatever I want
and
and edit me out.
Ben's questions out completely. Oh, take on Brett is a good idea.
That is a great
I wonder
idea.
if he'd be interested in doing that.
Poison questions.
Yeah.
He'd do very well, I would think, and take on
Please
Brett.
don't embarrass me.
I can't
This is like
promise
if
that.
we had Ken Palm on the show and I was asking questions.
Oh, you're
is that a
right.
real person? It
It
is.
is Ken Pomeroy.
Yeah.
And I would not want you to really speak up that much
Exactly.
during that interview.
That's
That's a good
exactly
point.
right.
All right, that's it for us today. Annie and Elston are coming up next. What a short, quick show that was
Yeah, a
for
little
us.
quickie for
All
you.
right, for executive producer Paul Reindl, for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for the Friday edition of Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. So long.